So welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the Samsung Galaxy Note. So I'll just quickly go over the specifications of the phone. This phone has a dual-core 1.4 GHz processor, has a 5.29 inch S AMOLED display with a resolution of 1280 by 800, has an 8 megapixel rear facing camera, 2 megapixel front facing camera and a 2500 mAh battery. So I'll just give you a quick tour of the phone. So on the left hand side you'll find the volume rocker. Move around to the right hand side you'll find the power button, which is also the sleep wake button. At the bottom you'll find the USB port, which is also the charging port. And of course just to the right of that the S Pen, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Moving up top you'll find a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the front we have the front facing camera and the speaker for making calls obviously. If we go ahead and take the back off we'll have a quick look inside. So there's a space for the battery there, a space for the SIM card and of course a micro SD card slot so you can expand the storage. So I'm just going to show you a quick size comparison now, just to kind of show you how big this phone is, because it is a bit of a monster in terms of phones anyway. So on the far left is the Samsung Galaxy Note, in the middle is the Samsung Galaxy S2, and on the far right is an iPod Touch, the first generation iPod Touch. So yeah, this should just give you a good indication of the size of the device. So again, just another quick size comparison, this time thickness. The Galaxy Note is on the bottom, the Galaxy S2 in the middle and an iPod Touch at the top. So yeah, it is actually a pretty slim phone, even though it's quite large in terms of screen size. So yeah, that kind of makes up for it in a way. So the phone is mainly constructed out of plastic materials, which I'm not a huge fan of. I do prefer kind of metal kind of finishes. But again, I kind of like the design of this phone. It looks very similar to the Galaxy S2. And if you have seen my review of that, you will know that I do like the design of the S2. So yeah, the design is very simple. There isn't really a whole lot to say about it. There is one complaint that I have, which is exactly the same with the Galaxy S2, is that the back panel is very flimsy, and you know it's easy to break, and it's not providing much protection to the back of the phone. But really that is the only complaint I have about the design of the phone. So the Galaxy Note just got an update to Ice Cream Sandwich. I have done a separate video going through all the new features and additions in Ice Cream Sandwich. So rather than going through all that again in this video, if you want to know more about that, then go check that out. So it uses a very similar interface to pretty much every other Samsung phone, the TouchWiz interface. And it's near enough identical to the Samsung Galaxy S2's interface. The only difference being you get an extra icon on the screen because of the extra screen size, but pretty much everything else is identical. So there are a few specific apps to the Samsung Galaxy Note. Here I'm demonstrating the Notepad app, so you can use the pen to kind of draw notes and things. And the pen is actually pressure sensitive, so the more you press down the thicker the stroke will be. There's also a drawing app which is very similar to this Notepad app, so you can kind of draw stuff, you can select different brush effects and different colours. So again, that's a really cool feature which is specific to the Samsung Galaxy Note and the S Pen. So you can also use the S Pen to type by drawing words, or writing words rather. In my experience it didn't always work out very well. There are quite a few settings to kind of mess about with to change how it picks up your handwriting and things. I didn't have a huge amount of time to play with the phone, but after a while I did kind of get used to it. The video that I'm showing you is actually the first time I actually tried this out, so yeah, it didn't work out first time, but after a little while I did manage to kind of get it working a bit better. So yeah, that's kind of a cool feature again, which is specific to the Samsung Note. So I'll move on to the screen now. As I've already mentioned, it has a resolution of 1280 by 800, which works out at around 280 pixels per inch. That's not kind of up in the really high categories like something like the iPhone 4S is, but it's still a very sharp display, noticeably sharper than the Samsung Galaxy S2's display, so I don't think you will be disappointed with this display in terms of how clear and sharp it is. So things like text appear very sharp on the display, which makes reading web pages really nice. So viewing content on the display is absolutely fantastic. AMOLED displays are renowned for their super bright colours, and when you combine that with the high resolution of the display on the 5-inch form factor, it makes viewing every kind of content great. Videos especially, because ICS now allows the YouTube app to play videos in 720p HD, and they look absolutely fantastic on this display. So I can't stress enough how awesome viewing content is on this screen. So I'd just like to quickly talk about the camera. I've already mentioned the rear facing camera is an 8 megapixel camera, and it also has an LED flash. So the camera interface again is pretty much identical to the Samsung Galaxy S2s. You get the tap to focus feature, and there's also a whole load of options to kind of change effects, resolution, white balance, ISO, metering, a lot of very different options to mess about with your photos, which personally I kind of like that. You've still got the video mode as well, and it does record in full 1080p. I will show some sample images and video from the camera in a moment. So here are a couple of images from the camera. These were taken at the full 8 megapixel resolution, and the camera in my experience is pretty much identical in terms of quality to the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S2. So here's just a quick sample video. This was taken at the full 1080p resolution of the video sensor, and again it's pretty good video quality. All it could do with really is some sort of video stabilization, because it does get quite shaky when you're filming. So I've covered most of the key points, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up my review. So I'll just talk about battery life briefly. So the battery life is decent. If you're kind of careful with your usage, you can get a day out of the battery, but because of the large display and kind of the powerful processor and graphics, when you're viewing content like video and things, it can drain the battery very quickly. But yeah, it's quite possible to get a day out of the battery as long as you keep screen brightness down and things like that and don't watch a huge amount of videos. You can always buy some sort of portable charger to kind of keep things charged, but I mean, don't expect miracles from a battery, and I'm pretty surprised that the battery does last as long as it does when you consider the size of the display on this device. So I'm a little bit on the fence about the Samsung Galaxy Note. There are other phones out there like the HTC One X and the Samsung Galaxy S3, which personally I feel offer more features and capabilities than this Galaxy Note does. However, the Note does have the biggest screen in its class, and that makes it great for viewing content like videos. Personally, I think the Samsung Galaxy Note is a little bit too big just to carry around for sort of general use, but for maybe someone who's not bothered about the size of the phone or always keeps the phone in a bag or something like that, then it probably isn't an issue. You can pick this up quite a bit cheaper now than some of the newer phones like the Samsung Galaxy S3, which is again another reason why you might choose to buy it over one of those. And also the unique features like the S Pen or stylus is something again that might make you choose it over the other phones. So I hope you like this review. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks.